What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Robert Whittaker shared his thoughts on Islam Makhachev's recent dominant performance over JDM and raised the possibility of him moving up to the middleweight division. Whittaker explained that with the way Islam handled JDM, he thinks Islam might actually have the size and skill set to compete against bigger opponents, potentially challenging for another belt in a higher weight class. He even brought up the idea of Ilia Topuria moving up 2 weight divisions to meet Islam, joking that it would create a third belt scenario and a matchup fans would never forget. Whittaker emphasized that moving up in weight isn't simple because middleweights and welterweights are physically a different breed. He noted that Islam's wrestling, technique, and overall athleticism could make the jump feasible, but it would be a huge test. Then he imagined a clash between Islam and Khamzat at middleweight, saying that fight would be legendary and could feed generations of fight fans for years to come. Whittaker even pictured the event happening in Abu Dhabi, highlighting how massive the card would be and how it would captivate audiences around the world. He concluded that with Islam's skill set and dominance, plus the potential for dream matchups against fighters like Ilia or Khamzat, the possibilities for his career are limitless. Every fight on that card would have stakes, excitement, and historic significance, making it one of the most anticipated series of bouts in modern MMA history. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Brady has now spoken out following his knockout loss to Michael Morales last night, and he made sure to let fans know he's doing just fine. He posted a photo on his Instagram and included a thoughtful message in the caption, showing exactly how he's handling this tough moment in his career. Brady wrote that, first of all, he just wants everyone to know that he's healthy and doing okay. He acknowledged that this sport brings the highest highs and the lowest lows, but he wouldn't have it any other way because he's living his dream every single day he wakes up. Brady made it clear that one setback won't define him or change who he is as a fighter and as a person. He thanked his beautiful family, his team, his friends, his sponsors, and every supporter who continues to believe in him. He said all of that support means the world to him. This loss, according to Brady, is simply another lesson on the journey he's committed to, and he's already focused on the next step. He ended by saying that he'll be back to training soon and will be right back on the horse before anyone knows it. Moving on to another news, Dana White spoke about Leon Edwards after his knockout loss to Carlos Prates last night, and he admitted it was a tough moment for the fighter. Leon is now on a 3-fight losing streak, and Dana said he's unsure what comes next for him at this stage of his career. Dana explained that Leon will go home, take some time to reflect, and then they'll regroup to see what he's thinking and where his head is at. He emphasized that it's hard to predict whether Leon's best days are behind him, but he's not ruling anything out just yet. Dana also highlighted how competitive and unpredictable the card was overall. He mentioned that every fight on the card was a high-level matchup and that anything can happen when fighters step in and start mixing it up with the best in the world. He acknowledged that the energy and intensity in the octagon were off the charts, which is why a fighter like Leon could get caught. Dana's comments showed empathy for Leon while also acknowledging the brutal reality of fighting at the highest level. He made it clear that they'll evaluate the situation carefully before deciding on Leon's next move, keeping options open while respecting the effort and skill he continues to bring to the octagon. Moving on to another news, Belal Muhammad has reacted to Islam's dominant win over JDM, and he made it clear that he's happy for Islam and for Team Khabib getting their first official double champ. He said that Team Khabib and coach Javier Mendez have built one of the most dominant squads in UFC history, and this achievement proves their legacy even more. But Belal also addressed some negativity from fans online, saying that just because Islam is succeeding doesn't mean he's losing anything himself. Someone else's success doesn't mean it's his failure. Belal explained that he's not distracted by any outside noise because his full focus is locked on Ian Gary next weekend at UFC Vancouver. He said every welterweight may be celebrating tonight, but next week is the only night that matters for him. That's when he needs to step inside the octagon and remind everyone that he's still the guy at the top of the division. He wants to deliver a statement performance, smash Ian Gary, and finish him to show that nothing has changed. His goal is to prove he belongs in the world title conversation and that the best version of Belal is still coming. Moving on to another news, Dana White has reacted to comments made by Francis Ngannou, and once again their back and forth has the MMA world talking. In the same TMZ interview where Dana praised Jon Jones as the greatest of all time, he was asked about Francis recently saying that a fight between him and Jon would be the biggest fight in combat sports history. Francis has always believed that he and Jon are the true ultimate heavyweight matchup, the kind of fight that fans would remember forever, and he made it clear that if it ever happened, it would break every record the sport has ever seen. But as expected, Dana doesn't quite agree with that. He wasn't surprised that Francis would hype a fight involving himself, but Dana insisted that in his eyes, the biggest fight possible is actually the winner of Ciryl Gane and Tom Aspinall facing Jon Jones. Dana said he would hate to disagree, but calling Francis versus Jon the biggest fight ever just isn't how he sees things. In fact, he pointed out that Ciryl and Aspinall still need to run it back first, and whoever wins that rematch meeting Jon Jones would be a much bigger moment for the UFC. From Dana's perspective, that's the true heavyweight super fight that would deliver the kind of excitement and legacy the promotion is pushing for next. When asked directly if the winner of that fight would definitely get Jon next, Dana reminded everyone that Jon Jones is technically retired. He said people keep talking about Jon like he's still fully active, but right now, nothing is finalized. It all depends on how things play out over the next several months, and there are still a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes. Dana didn't dismiss the possibility completely, but he made sure to put a pause on assumptions before fans get ahead of themselves. Of course, no one should be shocked that Dana isn't siding with Francis after everything they went through, from contract disputes to Francis leaving the company and pursuing boxing. Their relationship was rough at the end, and Dana has made it clear he's focused on the fighters still competing under the UFC banner. Even as Francis finds success outside the promotion, Dana is pushing the narrative forward with the heavyweights currently on the roster. Moving on to another news, Demetrius Johnson shared his excitement about a potential super fight between Islam and Ilia, especially after seeing the recent reactions and build-up. He said he genuinely wants to see Islam versus Ilia at the White House card, and the idea has him more fired up than ever. He explained that both fighters are on an incredible run, and their clash would create massive hype for fans all around the world. Demetrius highlighted how Ilia has been calling for big moments and backing up his words with dominant performances, while Islam continues proving he is one of the most well-rounded champions in the sport, whether it's at lightweight or potentially at welterweight. He repeated that he wants the fight now even more, imagining the atmosphere and the energy if the UFC actually makes it happen at such a historic venue. Johnson ended his reaction with a strong message to the UFC boss, saying, "Make it happen, Dana. Make it happen." Moving on to another news, Alexander Volkanovski shared his thoughts on Islam's impressive victory over JDM, and he made it clear who he thinks presents the biggest challenge for Islam moving forward. Volkanovski believes that in the welterweight division, Kamaru Usman is currently the toughest matchup for Islam. He emphasized that while JDM is an incredible fighter and one of the nicest guys in the sport, Usman brings a different level of difficulty that could really test Islam's skill. Volkanovski started by saying that at 170 he could be a factor, jokingly saying, "Get me at 170," highlighting how even moving around weight classes can create interesting scenarios. He praised JDM, calling him one of the best and most respectful fighters, but then quickly shifted focus to Usman, pointing out that he's a man who can be a real problem for anyone in the division. He acknowledged that Islam handled JDM very well, but when it comes to Usman, the dynamic changes because Usman doesn't take unnecessary risks and sticks to a strict game plan, making him a very difficult opponent. Volkanovski explained that Usman's discipline and ability to control the fight strategically makes him stand out as Islam's toughest challenge so far. Unlike some fighters who might leave openings or gamble too much, Usman minimizes mistakes and executes a precise approach, which could really test Islam's adaptability and composure under pressure. Overall, Volkanovski's take reinforces the idea that while JDM is a fantastic opponent and an all-time great, Usman's combination of skill, experience, and tactical intelligence might be the real hurdle for Islam in the welterweight division. Moving on to another news, Rampage Jackson shared his thoughts on Islam's win over JDM, and he didn't hold back. He said that in his opinion, the main event was extremely boring, calling it one of the most boring fights he's ever witnessed. Rampage compared it to those predictable boxing matches where you already know who's going to win. He acknowledged that Islam is obviously a talented fighter, but from a spectator perspective, the fight lacked excitement. Rampage explained how that kind of performance affects him as a fan. He said if he's watching a fighter for the first time and the fight is boring, he's less likely to become a fan immediately. He admitted that for him, Islam's fight didn't grab his attention because he hadn't seen him fight before, and the lack of action made it hard to connect with him as a fighter. together. Rampage also noted that sometimes a boring fight won't permanently turn him off. If he sees the fighter again and they put on a more exciting performance, he might reconsider. However, for someone new like Islam, his first fight didn't leave the kind of impression that makes him excited for the next matchup. Rampage's reaction highlights the challenge some fans have with dominant, methodical fighting styles even when the fighter is elite. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones is still keeping the rivalry with Tom Aspinall alive, and he's doing it in the most Jon Jones way possible, by trolling on social media. Even with all the recent positive talk about apologies and respect, Jon hasn't stopped poking fun at Tom over the eye poke drama that has been a hot topic ever since their fight situation became one of the most controversial moments in heavyweight history. Just the other day, Jon reposted a video on his Instagram that perfectly captures his trolling style. The first part of the clip shows Aspinall in his octagon interview, visibly frustrated and talking about the eye poke that affected the fight. The moment cuts and suddenly it jumps to a clip of Jon Jones after one of his early title fights, casually revealing that he had competed with a broken foot. The message from Jon is loud and clear without him saying a single word. He wants everyone to believe he is the tougher fighter, the one who battles through anything, while suggesting Tom was complaining about something minor. Jon knows exactly how to stir the conversation online, and with his return still looming, this kind of social media back and forth keeps fans talking non-stop. Moving on to another news, Dana White has now responded to Jon Jones's recent apology, and the MMA world is buzzing about this development. If you've been keeping up with everything happening lately, you'll remember that Jon showed up on a podcast and opened up about the whole situation with Tom Aspinall. During that interview, Jon took a moment to reflect on how everything went down. He admitted that he regretted the way he handled things, especially the communication around the fight and the fallout that followed. Jon said when he eventually sees Dana White in public, he wants to apologize to him face to face and make things right between them. Jon explained that his most immediate goal right now is to get back into action and ideally make it on that massive White House card the UFC is planning. When the podcast host asked if he had spoken to Dana recently or how Dana was feeling about everything, Jon responded with a bit of honesty and maturity. He said he's giving Dana his space, acknowledging that Dana White has changed his life and the lives of his children. Jon made it clear that he's forever grateful to Dana for the opportunities he's had in his career. He even said that despite them having a verbal agreement that didn't really go well, nothing was finalized, and he admits that he was in the wrong for how he reacted. Jon clarified that he doesn't mean guilt in a legal way, but that he recognizes his mistake and wishes he could have handled everything much better. He said what he wants now is to see Dana face to face, apologize, let bygones be bygones, and get back to making major money together for the sport and continue entertaining all the fans around the world. The host then told Jon that everyone knows Dana is a businessman and that Jon has always been one of his absolute favorite fighters. There are memes and clips everywhere about how much Dana admires his talent. The host joked that when Dana is feeling Jon, he definitely sees him as one of his greatest fighters ever, but when he's not feeling him, maybe that's the reason Dana has a bald head. Jon laughed and agreed, saying that might be why the stress sometimes hits harder. Well, it turns out that clip made its way back to Dana White quickly, because Dana reacted during an interview with TMZ Sports. Dana said Jon doesn't need to apologize for anything. Despite all the chaos and all the tough moments they've had over the years, Dana once again called Jon the greatest of all time. He said it's a fact, even when people laugh or try to argue against it. Dana doubled down, saying Jon Jones is the greatest ever, period, end of story. Everyone knows it, and dealing with Jon has been a unique experience, but none of that changes the reality that Jon is still the best to ever do it. Moving on to another news, Dana White has given fans another big update on his relationship with Jon Jones. Just after calling him the greatest ever and reminding everyone that nothing changes the fact that Jon is still the best to ever step inside the octagon, Dana revealed something interesting. During the UFC 322 post-fight press conference, Dana shared that he actually called Jon Jones last night. This wasn't some big dramatic moment, just a real conversation between two people who have been through a lot together in this sport. Dana kept things simple and didn't give away too many details, but the message was clear. He said he talked to Jon, and there's nothing else that needs to be said publicly right now. And it's another sign that the tension between them is starting to fade and that both sides want to keep things things positive moving forward. Jon has been open about wanting to make things right, wanting to get back on that huge White House card, and wanting to continue entertaining fans around the world. Dana White reaching out on his own shows that communication is happening again. After years of chaos, drama, and massive achievements together, the door is wide open for Jon to return in a big way. Moving on to another news, Joe Rogan caused a bit of a stir during the UFC 322 prelims when he went off about the rules of MMA live on the broadcast, specifically targeting one accessory that he believes should be banned from competition. During round 2 of the Bison Suskev vs. Eric Makhachev fight, Suskev, who is Khamzat's undefeated teammate sitting at 10-0, was hit with a low blow that forced the action to pause for a moment. As the referee gave Suskev time to recover, Rogan decided to address something he finds extremely problematic: the use of steel cups in MMA. Rogan explained that while it may seem like just another piece of protective gear, the steel cup creates a massive advantage that goes beyond safety. In his words, it is basically legal cheating. He said there is a giant loophole in MMA rules that he's surprised fighters aren't exploiting far more often, and that loophole is the usage of a steel-tied cup. According to Rogan, not only does it protect the groin area better than any other material, but it also provides clear competitive leverage in grappling and striking exchanges. He pointed out that when a fighter is working an armbar, the steel cup can dig into the opponent's arm and create extra pressure that makes the submission even more painful. When a fighter mounts an opponent and that steel cup presses into the chest, it's brutal and extremely uncomfortable. And when someone kicks it, instead of hurting the fighter wearing the cup, the person throwing the kick risks damaging their foot or even breaking their toes. In Rogan's view, this crosses the line from fairness into an unspoken advantage that should not be allowed. As Rogan was laying all this out, Daniel Cormier chimed in with a bit of humor, asking Rogan if he personally knew any fighters who used the steel cup. Without hesitation, DC pointed to the guy sitting right next to him, implying that Rogan himself had taken advantage of it in the past. Rogan laughed but doubled down, saying it absolutely qualifies as legal cheating, and that if fighters want to use it, they better do it now before the UFC eventually bans it, because they should ban it. He added that it shocks him how few fighters realize the benefits, calling it the best cup available, telling younger athletes to take advantage of it while they still can. Rogan's rant didn't stop there. He emphasized again that this protective gear does far more than simply keep fighters safe. It changes the outcome of grappling transitions, protects the wearer in striking exchanges, and allows them to absorb damage in a way that is far from equal. He made it clear that MMA prides itself on fairness, and if something gives even a small but consistent edge without being skill-based, then it doesn't belong in the sport moving forward. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.